Men and women all over the globe are joining now for the best videos on the internet.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
And I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part. Are you? Click the subscribe button now to become a member of the Action Pack. Would you like to know more?
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Was it that bad? Was it as bad as everybody says that it was? And also, if Dakota Johnson's character could see the future, how did she not see this coming? I'm Mike, and with me today is... Sorry.
Tommy boy.
Okay. I'm used to the live streams where he's below me. Now he's over there.
Yeah.
This is Mike's After Action Reviews, and this is the After Action Review for Madam Web. The Action Pack needs you. You can support Mike's After Action Reviews on our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Every quarter, once we've made at least $200, we're going to be giving away 10% of our earnings from Patreon in a giveaway over on our Twitch, so go check that out as well. You can find all of the links for everything in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Do your part. Support the pack. The Action Pack. All right, everybody. So as always, when we are doing these kind of, I call them tele-reviews, when we have people go on and they're, so we have our guest. I have my notes pulled up. We're going to go over the movie's production. So, first red flag for me is that this movie has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 production companies behind it. Usually, having a huge number of production companies is like it's a red flag. I don't know if you've noticed that. Whenever you I never watched reviews or got really into reviews much before doing YouTube. But a big thing is now that I'm doing reviews and I look at the production companies, it's like if it's got like 10 production companies, it's like, ooh, something's wrong here. So this might be a thing. Sometimes it's not, but most often, if there's a huge number of production companies, it's like, So, the first production company listed on IMDb, by the way, disclaimer that I put in every video now, everything about people's popularity, what they're most well known for, what their most recent works are, all on IMDb. So if there's a problem with any of my information, we're using a reliable source, IMDb. Go take it up with them. So, first production company listed on IMDb is Columbia Pictures. They are most well known for Anyone But You. And actually, so this is from 2023. I think I've noticed that IMDb, it used to be that it would be like a movie a long time ago that was really famous. I think that when they're talking about, when I put in like, it's not what they're most well known for, it's what's they're most popular for right now. So Anyone But You is a newer movie and they're known for it right now. So, yeah. But anyway, so 2020, that was in 2023 that had Sydney Sweeney in it. Okay. And then also, they most recently, other than this movie and that movie, did Napoleon in 2023, which we watched and was an interesting movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and it also kind of followed a similar pattern at the box office as this one is. Okay, so then, and so then we have D. Bonaventura Pictures, which is most well known for American Assassin in 2017, and they most recently did Pet Sematary Bloodlines in 2023. I don't know anything about American. By the way, interrupt me if you have things you want to say about any of this. I don't know anything about American Assassins, but I do know that Pet Sematary Bloodlines, according to some people that I listen to and watch and stuff as far as movie reviews, was not very good, and it was not critically received well in reviews and stuff. So, yeah. Marvel Entertainment is the third on the list, most well known for Deadpool in 2016, and having most recently did Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in 2023. See, that's what I'm saying. It's interesting because they like Marvel Entertainment is they're Marvel, they stuff. But right now they're most well known for Deadpool, most likely because Deadpool 3 is coming out. So anyway, they also most recently did Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in 2023. Then we have TSG Entertainment, most well known for Poor Things, which came out like not long ago, right at the end of 2023, and that was the one with Mark Ruffalo and Emma Stone, where it's like she's a young girl, like a baby in an adult's body, and I've heard people describe it as being softcore. And it's like Emma Stone just basically in a full-grown adult's body doing things with Mark Ruffalo for a lot of the movie. And but I've heard that it's actually really good, like a really good movie, but it's like also weird. Yeah. And then Thanksgiving is the horror movie that we've done some trailer reactions for, and that was earlier in 2023. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anyone But You, Napoleon, Pet Sematary Bloodlines. It's just been a weird, like, I don't know. Like, these particular production companies I don't think is necessarily a red flag. Like Columbia Pictures, they're good. Marvel Entertainment, that they haven't been doing well, but they've made good stuff in the past. TSG, they tend to be good, but then you look at some of it, like I said, Pet Sematary, Napoleon. Those are the big ones that I look at and go, yeah, you can kind of see the trend that this production company is going through right now. We're in a little bit of a rut. Any thoughts on any of that?
No. No, not really. No, there's definitely a trend though, unfortunately.
Okay, so the next part is the big thing. At the end of this, I'm going to ask you a question. I'd like you to think about. Obviously, still interrupt me and talk about all this other stuff, but I want to ask you, like, think about this, and I'll ask you at the end of the production here. What did you think of the movie before it came out? Like, what did you think the movie was going to be, and why? So because this is the production. When we go over production, that's what we're actually looking at. Is if you were looking at this movie from the outside, knowing this stuff before seeing it, would you think this is going to be a good movie? This is going to be a bad movie? Maybe it'll be good. I don't know. Maybe it'll be bad. I don't know. That kind of stuff. So we're just trying to find the predictors of the quality that we're going to give at the end here. So anyway, looking now, but the writing here is where we're going to get into that. So. I usually only list, so this is, I list the top 3 writers. Sometimes there's a lot of writers, and that's also a red flag. There were 4, and I only listed the top 3. Usually I list the movie they're most popular, like they're most famous for, their popularity on IMDb. And then what they've most recently done, other than the current movie we're talking about, and then what they're most popular for. And both of these, the 2 main writers, are known for all of the same movies. They've only written 5 of them, so I've listed all 5, and there's a reason, and you're going to understand what that reason is in just a second when I say this. So, the 2 main writers for this are Matt Sazama, who you are going to see over here. Okay, you're going to see him. So that's Matt Sazama. I'm actually taking a little bit of a break to say his name because I'm listing them both together. But then also Burke Sharpless. And if I can find a picture of them together, I'll just have them together. But those are those 2, okay? And they've only written 5 movies, and they've all written the same 5 movies. Like, these are 2 guys that have worked together their entire careers so far. And those 5 movies are you ready?
Give it to me.
Morbius from 2022.
Oh, God.
Power Rangers from 2017.
Oh, God.
Gods of Egypt from 2016.
Oh,
The Last Witch Hunter from 2015. and Dracula Untold from 2014.
Okay, of all of those, Dracula Untold was about the only one I really liked.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the truth. I liked Dracula Untold. I didn't think it was great, but it definitely was not terrible. Like, it wasn't some bad
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
The Last Witch Hunter, I saw it and I was like, it's okay, but it's like probably a below average movie. But it was like okay. That was like Vin Diesel. Have you seen it? Okay, that was like Vin Diesel taking like a putt, or punting. He was just like, whatever. I want a new car and I want a new Lamborghini and I don't want to put in much effort, so I work for some terrible movie, whatever. But actually, to tell you the truth, I liked Gods of Egypt. Like, I actually liked Gods of Egypt. I would say that Gods of Egypt was above average. I know that it got bad ratings, but I'm saying personally for me, I thought it was a good thing. That's the one with Waldo Ralph Emerson, who plays Jaime Lannister, and he is the god Horus.
Oh, yeah. That was not bad.
Yeah.
That was not
and
bad.
And he can, all the characters, it's all about the gods of Egypt, and they're all like 20 feet tall, and they can transform into like animal versions of themselves, almost and so they all have cool superpowers, and he fights Gerard Butler. I liked that movie. I, honestly, Power Rangers, I thought again was kind of bland, maybe a below average movie, but not good. That's what I'm saying. It's not like some great movie. And I did a review of it, and honestly, I can't remember what I gave my review score, but when I think about it, whatever my review score was for Power Rangers, when I look back on it, it was probably an average, mid-tier average to maybe even below average movie. Okay, but then Morbius, I was like, it wasn't great, but at least it followed the formula. Like, it was basically a formulaic movie where it's like, guy gets powers, he just discovers, look at what I can do. Ooh, I can do all this stuff, Like, I remember Spider-Man? Tobey Maguire's like, what the heck is that? And he's figuring out his powers, and then he fights a bad guy, and then the movie ends, and that's it. I didn't think the movie was so absolutely terrible. That dancing scene, it was stupid in parts, but I would basically say that movie was on the low end of average as well, but I wouldn't say that it was like the worst movie ever. But my point is that if we look at these movies, just a second, I'll run it through for you here. Morbius has a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes. Power Rangers has a 51%, so it wasn't terrible, but it's not like, hey, let's give our next big hit to those guys. Gods of Egypt was a 14%. Nobody liked that movie. So I do understand that that's my personal opinion to like it. Okay. The Last Witch Hunter is an 18%. Dracula Untold is 25%. So do the math on that, and then go look at the IMDb score, which we're not going to get into here about this movie because we're actually doing the review for this. But do the math, and then look at the IMDb score of this movie, and you're like, hey, that kind of falls right in there with the rest of these movies.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Sony chose these two guys, and I hope that no one else ever chooses these guys unless they, I'm not trying to cancel anybody. We're just like, hey, if you want a good movie, you got to get good writers. These guys just aren't writing that well, Okay, so then the other writer, any comments about any of those movies? Anything else you want to say about those two writers?
No, like, it's just fun. I did like those last three movies. I did like Dracula Untold, Gods of Egypt, and The Last Witch Hunter. Those were some of my favorite movies. Okay movies, but favorites. Yeah. That's kind of a shame.
So my point is like, even for myself, I look at that and I know I like Gods of Egypt, but I can definitely see where the flaws are and why people didn't. I know why people hated Morbius. I just didn't think, I wasn't as hard on it as other people were, but I know why people hated it. Okay.
Yeah.
Dracula Untold actually was higher, but I actually, that's the one that I look at and go, I don't know why that one got so low.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the other writer then, though, was Claire Parker, and she's listed here as a writer and a producer for this movie, but she has not. She has worked as a producer for some TV movies, which is terrible. I'm sorry. Like, I think that when it falls into like, you have major blockbuster movies, regular movies, series, TV movies. As far as I've done this, climbing the ladder, and she has worked on 2 TV movies. And I would say that most people who I've seen that write for series have not worked on a TV movie. Okay, that's what I'm saying about the quality of TV movies. But she's worked on 2 TV movies, and she's worked on a couple of and many series, but she's never written anything, and she was listed as the 3rd writer behind these other 2 guys.
Huh.
So you tell me this, Tommy boy. We have one shot here to make a great movie. Who we gonna hire? We have a big budget here too, by the way. So do you want to hire these? You know, like that's what I'm saying. Because this is Sony. I mean, Sony could have gotten different people to do this, and this was stupid. I think that they made some mistakes here.
This was their choices. Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have done better.
Yeah. So then another person who also was... So then we'll move on to the director, and I do just want to tell you guys, she was also credited as a writer, but is actually the director. She was like the 5th writer, so I only list the top 3 anymore because there's so many writers on some of these movies. But the director is S.J. Clarkson. Now, I'm going to tell you something. S.J. Clarkson has never directed a movie.
Oh, wow.
She directed the TV miniseries, which was on Netflix. She directed 2 episodes of the TV miniseries, only 2 episodes of The Defenders. Okay?
Oh, wow.
And I liked The Defenders, don't get me wrong, but she's never directed a major motion picture. She also directed Jessica Jones. Which I thought that Jessica Jones was very good. I'm looking up right now to see.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, so she directed 2 episodes of Jessica Jones. So she didn't even direct Jessica Jones like I'm the director of Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we got like 20 episodes of this show. You want to direct like 2? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, whatever, okay.
Yeah.
That was her, okay. And then also, she did that, and then she also, and that's what she's most well known for is The Defenders. And then she also directed Anatomy of a Scandal, 6 episodes. That's a TV miniseries in 2022. So we have like the most, so some of these guys are like amateur hour, like we're bringing in the amateurs, and some of these guys are straight up verified to be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this isn't even like get me somebody new, like, hey, let's get some new blood in here, untested, we don't know what's going to happen, we're taking a risk. This is like, hey, go find me the cheapest tools at the bottom of the box. I want something with a little bit of rust on it, you know.
Yeah.
That kind of thing you're afraid to touch because you might get lockjaw. And we're going cheap this time, guys. And then also just the last thing here is the music. The music was by Johann Soderquist. And if I messed that up, but it's Soderqvist. So Soderquist. I think is how you would say that. So most well known for Let the Right One In from 2008, and then also most recently did Before It Ends in 2023. I'm going to tell you, did you, so this is the question that I always ask, and I don't mean to insult the music department or anything like that, but it's just like, if the music is done well, you might not know anything about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If the music is done bad, it's like, oh, I did not like the music. Okay.
Yeah.
But basically, it's one of those things where you either really hated it, or you didn't remember anything about it, or you really remembered a few pieces that were really awesome. So, did you remember anything from this movie?
Music-wise, not really. Yeah.
No. Was anything terrible?
No. For
okay,
music.
So, there you go. So we're shooting an arrow in the middle, and I agree with you, and I'd say that the music for this was fine. We don't remember anything bad about it, don't remember anything good about it, which is the norm. It's very rare. It's very rare for people to remember anything, even if the movie's good. But it's like if I say to you, bum, bum, ba ba bum. What's that from? Bum, 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 bum. bum 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 ba da dum. You don't remember? You don't know what?
No.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm not the best with music.
Okay, that's okay. But still, like people out in the audience, Tommy Boy, but people in the audience, you recognize those themes because that was a really awesome music in that movie. So what did you think of the production? Okay, that's my question. Actually, just answer that first. What did you think of the production here then?
What do you mean by
like just everything we've talked about? Like I think that this was so looking at now that you've seen the movie.
By everything we just talked about, like this movie was very much set up for failure completely. Yeah.
Do you think that just talking about the production, do you think that they performed above what you would have thought? Do you think that they were right where you would have thought they would be, or do you think they did worse? As far as the writing, directing, and music, and then any CGI or whatever. Yeah,
they ended up right where how I feel about this movie.
Yeah. Okay. I will. So I'll tell you. I think the CGI was good. I didn't notice anything that made me go, "Oh man, the CGI was good." It's better than the Flash. Then it's better than like as far as the CGI. The Flash was a major motion picture. So I will say that. The CGI was okay. The writing I didn't think was very good, and we'll get into it a little bit here. I thought it was outright not good. Look, spoiler alert. We're going to get a little bit into spoilers, light spoilers here, but yes, this movie was not good. We're going to talk about how bad it was, but everybody already knows it's not good, so we don't even have to hide it. I usually try to not... maybe sometimes I allude to how good I thought the movie was and then reveal it at the end, but no, I'm just going to tell you guys, no, this was bad. We're just going to get into how bad it was. This is not an examination at the doctor's office. This is an autopsy. Okay, we are looking... Okay, all right, so then my question for you is what did you think of the movie coming in? When you were actually going to the theater. Yeah.
I had higher hopes for it. I did. I tried to go into a movie without any bias or anything. That's the reason why I don't I try to ignore anybody else that's saying anything about it. I want to know how I'm going to feel about it by watching it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But, I'm going to tell you the truth. I outright was I was I already knew. I didn't realize it was going to be what it was, the way it was. I thought it was going to be like the Marvels.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like...
I still haven't watched that one.
Okay, so I thought it was going to be like a movie where it's I don't really love this. Yeah. It's not terrible or anything, but it's just like chewing cardboard. And it kind of was, but then there's some issues that we're going to get into that lowered it even more than just... because the Marvels for me was just it's some uninteresting characters doing normal copy and paste things. This was uninteresting characters doing normal copy and paste things, and then some other issues. We'll get into it. I love my awesome Support the Troops Stormtrooper mug. Do you know where you can get a mug just like this one, but different? Bottega Krua. Bottega Krua is an Italian born and raised artisan trained at the Academy of Fine Arts in Venice, Italy. Since 2010, Bottega Krua has offered unique handmade and hand-painted ceramics, pottery, and other artistic products. You can find these products at her Etsy store by following the link down below. She also takes custom orders, but they may take longer to ship because she has to make them after you order them. So, go check out Bottega Krua to get yourself an awesome mug just like this one or the ones you've been seeing behind me as this ad has been going on. Remember guys, supporting our partners is supporting the pack, the Action Pack. So moving on into the plot. So the runtime of this movie was 1 hour and 56 minutes. The IMDb plot summary is as follows. So there were two. One that is IMDb and then one that was actually submitted by Sony. So this is what they wanted you to know about the movie before the movie happened. And we're going to compare notes as far as, now that we've seen it, is this true? So what you're doing is you're trying to listen to these summaries and say, did this really capture the spirit of the movie so people know what it's going to, at least, not necessarily how good it's going to be, but what it's going to be about going in? Okay, so here's what it says. Cassandra Webb is a New York metropolis paramedic who begins to demonstrate signs of clairvoyance. Forced to challenge revelations about her past, she needs to safeguard 3 young women from a deadly adversary who wants them destroyed. Okay. And then the second one, this one is actually submitted by Sony. This is direct quote from Sony Pictures. In a switch from the typical genre, Madam Web tells the standalone origin story of one of Marvel Publishing's most enigmatic heroines. The suspense-driven thriller stars Dakota Johnson as Cassandra Webb, a paramedic in Manhattan who develops the power to see the future and realize she can use that insight to change it. Forced to confront revelations about her past, she forges a relationship with 3 young women bound for powerful destinies if they can all survive a deadly present. Okay, so now let me ask you this. Now, okay, so is that what the movie is about? Was that an effective plot summary?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. Actually, that is.
IMDb was closer.
Right, IMDb, exactly. Now, I want to let you guys know something. This is of an effective plot summary, but there's some red flags for you. Now, I didn't see this plot summary until after I saw the movie. And then after I saw the movie, it was like if you would have read this plot summary, you would have understood some of the red flags. The first thing is that it says a suspense-driven thriller. Okay, this is not that. It's not an action movie. This is a thriller. And 3 young women bound for powerful destinies if they can all survive a deadly present. And now you guys aren't going to know unless you've seen the movie, but if you've seen the movie, you go, yeah, I can definitely see where you were actually telling me how this was going to go.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of? Yeah, so don't spoil that too much. We'll get into it in the end, but don't spoil that yet, exactly what I'm talking about here. But what did you think of the story? Like what they were the story that they were trying to tell? Was it a good story to be told? What did you think?
It was a very, very slow and boring origin story that oh gosh. Yeah,
it's hard. It's like, how do you even describe this?
Oh my gosh.
So that's what I was saying. It's like the Marvels. Like when they made the Marvels, I was thinking to myself, like, the biggest problem with the Marvels is just that you had uninteresting characters doing copy and paste stuff. With this movie, I'm going to tell you guys, it's uninteresting characters who are not doing copy and paste superhero stuff. They're doing nothing. Like there's problems here. They're just kind of meandering around, and you're like, what is happening? Like, are we gonna get anything interesting? It's like when you get a new pet. Like think about the anthill. You get a new pet. You have those anthills that you can make, and you put ants in, and and you're like, oh, ants, and it's so cool, and it's gonna be so cool, and then you sit there, and what ends up happening is you're just watching ants walk back and forth, do some stuff. And you're thinking to yourself, like, are they going to do anything interesting? It's like, no, because they're not for your entertainment. They're just animals trying to live. Yeah. That was this movie. It was like, it's almost like they just thought to themselves, we're not really trying to entertain the audience. We're just kind of showing the lives of these 3 people.
Yeah, and they had very opposite, somewhat opposite lives. And so, yeah, Madam Web, she just hated everybody. So like that.
Like the
made it very interesting. Yeah, made it very interesting for her to try to take care of these kids. Like, oh gosh, this is so bad, and the teenagers being teenagers, not wanting to listen.
Yeah,
it was.
It got a little
It
bit
was
into
rough.
like the teen
Yeah.
drama territory, and it's like this is not what we came
Yeah.
for.
I'm good without this.
I have some specific points that I'd like you to give your thoughts on too. But so they changed the origin of Spider-Man's powers. Now Spider-Man is not in this movie. That's not even a spoiler. We've already talked. Everybody already knows about it. Like, yeah, they never tease him. It's not anything. Okay, so this is the Sony Spider-Man movies where there's no Spider-Man. Okay, they changed the origin of the Spider-Man powers though to this thing. Now this is where we're gonna get into some spoilers. But this this is something that is introduced right away in the beginning of the movie. There is no biologically engineered spiders. It's Peruvian super spiders. They're like magic. These are spiders that they're magic, and if they bite you, okay. And apparently there's a whole tribe of these spiders there's a whole tribe of people who have the spider powers in Peru. It takes a jackhammer to the origins of Spider-Man completely.
Yeah.
And absolutely destroys what makes lore you would have known about it. Like, what did you think of this?
I thought that was wild. Like, are you kidding me? What is this? Then them climbing down the trees and jumping back and forth to rescue her and her mom. Like, what the heck is going on?
And that's the thing.
And they let the bad guy go. Like, I just want to save her. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is like, imagine how interesting. So like we've had movies like Marvel, like in the Marvel universe, cinematic universe, we've had like the Asgard, and we've seen these big battles with giants. Some snippets, not a lot. So I totally get where it's like we haven't seen the Asgardian army really going to war, but every single Asgardian in Asgard is ridiculously powerful, like super strong, like could kill Captain America, tear him in half like a phone book. The average Asgardian can, okay? Yeah. And I think it's like in the comics they say that they can lift 25 tons, and Loki, the average Asgardian can lift like 25 tons, I think maybe it's 10 tons, and Loki can lift 25 tons, and Thor can lift 75 tons. Like it's some ridiculous stuff, okay? Yeah. But my point is that so we've seen what you can do where you have a giant group of superpowered people, is you have like these interesting battle scenes that you want to see, and the lore built up around them is cool because it's like, oh, those cool stuff. Okay, they didn't do anything with the fact that there is a whole tribe of spider people.
Nothing.
Like if you had a whole tribe of people who had Spider-Man powers, you could have had a movie about them. And the movie could have been about, I don't know.
Yeah, that would have been good. Yeah. It's the League of Assassins. It's the League of Assassins, but no, this is the League of Spider-Man.
Exactly. Think about a movie where her mom dies in the beginning, just like this movie. She gains spider powers. She's living her life, realizes that she has the ability to see into the future, goes to Peru. And the Peru people, and this is only in like the first 20 minutes of the movie, or maybe 30 minutes, she realizes all this stuff. And then she goes and like becomes their leader as they go and battle some bad enemies. And they're all using Spider-Man powers to fight some super strong enemy. And instead we got Sex in the City with one lady who can see the future a little bit. I mean, really, that's what it is. We got a drama with the one lady who can see like 60 seconds into the future. And actually, to tell you the truth, so this is not this leads right into my next point. This is not a superhero movie. It's about 4 girls running away from a bad guy with powers. The bad guy has powers similar to Spider-Man. And
the girls never got the powers yet. So like, that's another intriguing thing.
Well, the one thing,
how do they end up getting powers? Like,
well, okay. So here's the thing. The one thing that they did do is that they showed that she got the powers. And then, it's like one of that fish out of water moment where she's like, whoa, like what just happened? How am I able to do this? But it's that she can see into the future. So it would be like a thing would happen, and then she would realize, oh, something a bad thing happened. So then and then it would happen again, and then the thing would happen again, and she would do it a little differently to change the outcome. And then the thing would happen again, and she would do it a little differently to change the outcome. And then the thing would happen again, and she would do it a little differently to change the outcome. And then the thing would happen again, and she would do it a little differently to change the outcome. And then the thing would happen again, and she would do it a little differently to change the outcome. And it's like it like five times. We're like, okay, after the second time, like, so they do it once. I could understand them doing that once, where they do it like 5 or 6 times, where she goes through the time loop a couple of times. And then the second time it happens, maybe you do it twice. Like there's another event, that a time loop thing, and then you maybe do it twice or something, and she does something different. But like they do it a couple of times, and it got to the point where I was like, are we gonna go on from this? Because this is
please let's move on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing that I want to say about plot before we move on, like the writing as far as the actual storytelling and the plot here, is that they are running from a guy who has Spider-Man-like powers. So I already said that. I just wanted to emphasize that the bad guy you've seen the trailers. He has a black suit, all that stuff. The only thing is that he doesn't. Well, we'll get into what his powers are in the character section, but the other thing is that halfway through the movie, maybe between the second and third act, I would say second act, about halfway through the movie, she takes a trip to Peru. Yeah, it was like more towards the beginning of the third act. So this whole sequence leads into the third act. So she takes a trip to Peru, but she leaves. So we have 4 characters we're following. She leaves 3 of the characters in New York City and goes to Peru.
With her friend.
Yeah, with her friend, and we'll get into that. And then comes back, and it's totally out of nowhere. Like the movie probably would have been better for her to bring the girls with her to Peru. The girls maybe get bit by spiders, get powers.
Yeah, I can see that.
Fight the guy in Peru because he follows them to Peru.
Yes.
I have no idea what.
That would be great.
Yeah, like it's not even necessarily though that it was like some out of nowhere decision. It's just that this movie is always going nowhere, and the trip to Peru just kind of went nowhere too, and then she just came back. So like literally the trip to Peru didn't really do much.
No. This helped her identify her power a little bit more, but still didn't teach her how to control it that well.
Right. And that was the thing too, is that there was no, and she was gone. So in this chronologically, as the story goes on, she says like, I'm going to be back in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So this movie takes place over what feels like, if you get rid of the trip to Peru, this movie maybe could have taken place over 3 days, but it's actually like 3 days plus 3 weeks to go to Peru and come back. I'm like, what the heck is with the timeline of events here? And the thing is that you would have thought that maybe, and I get, actually this would have been worse, but it's almost like it should have happened, but it shouldn't have happened. So it's like, they just shouldn't have done this at all. Where, you know, normally in movies like this, they show like a little bit of a training montage, even if it's just like 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minute scene of them being like, okay, dodge the thing. Like, I got hit by the thing, and then I'm getting better and I can dodge now. And punch harder, and I'm okay. They didn't do anything like that with any of these characters.
Nothing.
They didn't do anything like that with her. So we have no idea how she actually, like, there is no progression of her becoming better with her powers or being taught anything about her powers. Nope. You just get some throwaway lines with this Peruvian guy who's like, he has Spider-Man powers, is like, oh, you don't have the physical powers, but you can see into the future, and you're the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Hi, it's Travis with Oscar Mike Radio. Oscar Mike Radio is a military and veterans podcast and show about those who serve our country and those who have served and are doing amazing things.
You know what? Let's take more. And then they had that fantastic
managing those logistics and getting things where they need to be on time.
I mean, come on.
Want to learn more? Want to follow the show? Go to OscarMikeRadio.com or the link below. We're Oscar Mike, and we're mission in flight. Thank you.
Okay, so then I guess we'll move into characters and acting, and we can get into some detail about some of the writing and different things. But so I'll go through the actors. I'll just list them off first, and then we'll go back and talk about them. So our lead actress here is Dakota Johnson. She plays Cassandra Webb, and she's most well known for 50 Shades of Grey from 2015, and then most recently did Daddy-O in 2023. Then we have Sydney Sweeney, who's most well known for Euphoria, the HBO series, which was from 2019 and is still going, to the present. And then she most recently did Anyone But You, and she plays Julia Cornwall. Okay, if you don't know who that was before this movie, I didn't either, and I'm a comic book fan. So, I like comic books and superheroes. I have no idea who any of these characters are. I knew Madam Web, and I knew Ezekiel Sims, but I didn't actually care about any of these other characters. I haven't heard of them. Don't know anything about them. Some of them I didn't. Anyway, moving on. So then we have Isabella Merced. And if I pronounce her names wrong, I do apologize. But Merced, she's most well known for Transformers: The Last Night from 2017. Another great movie. Migration. She most recently did Migration in 2023, which is a good animated movie. I did see that. I did.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah. She did a voice part. And then we have Celeste O'Connor. She's most well known for Ghostbusters Afterlife in 2021. She played a side character in that. And she basically plays a similar type of character, just like a teen character, basically. Teen girl. And then most recently was in the movie A Good Person in 2023. She plays Maddie Franklin. Yep, the character we've all been waiting to see on the big screen. And then we have Tahar Rahim, and he's most well known for a movie, A Prophet in 2009. He also was in Napoleon in 2023. And we watched Napoleon. Now, he was in Napoleon. He was Napoleon's boss when Napoleon first started out in the movie. He was the guy who was asking Napoleon to lead the battle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get you.
It's
very, very small part. Okay.
Yeah, and he plays a different type of character, and he even looks a little different because the way that they have his hair and stuff. But yeah, so Napoleon in 2023. Okay, now normally that's it. That's all I say for the characters. I do the top 5. There's one more we're going to talk about him. We haven't talked about him yet, and that is Adam Scott. So Adam Scott is most well known for Parks and Recreation. It's a series from 2009 to 2015. He was in most of the series. He was one of the lead characters, and then also most recently, he's in the series Party Down, which was from 2009 to present. So he's been mostly a series actor, but he's really well known, good actor. He was in the promotional material for this movie as well, and he plays Ben Parker, who, if you don't know from the main Spider-Man series, he is Uncle Ben. We'll get into his character here in a second. But anyway, so those are our characters. That's our cast and crew here. So let's start off with Dakota Johnson. Anything you want to say about Dakota Johnson? Just yeah.
She may be hot, but man, she was boring and just dry. Just so dry.
It's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I am going to tell you guys that is amazing because I wrote flat character. This feels like acting. That's what I wrote. I said this feels like acting. She fired her talent agency and moved to another talent agency after the trailer for this movie came out. Okay? My understanding is, and I usually don't get into this stuff, but for this instance, we're going to do this because this is like revolutionary, monumental thing that happened with this movie. Okay, this is a historical movie. She was basically told, "You're going to be in a Marvel movie. You're going to be in a Marvel universe." And then when she showed up, she was like, "Wait, it says Sony on the door." It's like, well, you already signed the contract. Get in there and get in costume. Let's go. Yeah, so she totally doesn't want to be here, and I don't blame her for any of her acting in this because I think that she was not happy to even be here. So,
I think not just this movie though. She's pretty bland in most of her movies.
Well, I mean, 50 Shades of Grey is the only thing I know her from, and
she's bland in that.
Yeah.
Other than,
I didn't know
a dirty stuff, but yeah.
The whole sex scenes and all that, so. Maybe that, yeah, and you might be right. I just don't know her from anything. I thought that her character in 50 Shades of Grey was written to be that way. But yeah. I'm just saying that there were definitely scenes where you could tell that it was literally, but like maybe she's not a good actress. Yeah. I don't know. But you could just tell she's like, I didn't even want to be here. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Also, her character is just not a nice person. Like, this is not a nice character. There's an interaction with this little boy. So she's a paramedic and she saves the life of this person. And this little boy walks up to her, and this is the only character. This is the thing that bothers me. This is the only character moment. The only character moment that she has in the whole movie. And it's, hey, I drew this picture because you saved my dying mother's life. And then she looks at her coworker with the kid right there. The kid is right there watching her. And she says, what am I supposed to do with this? And I'm like, what the heck kind of person does that?
Yeah.
Like, oh, fold it and just put it in your pocket and throw it away later. She's like, I can't even fold this, but that was stupid. It was terrible.
Yeah, just horrible.
Yeah. I don't know. Absolutely. What is this thing? Yeah. Anything else about this character or actress you want to talk about?
No, that's pretty much dead on her.
All right. Now we've got kind of the centerpiece that I think a lot of people, I mean, these two ladies, I'll put up a picture up here so you guys can see what they wore to the premiere. Did you see what they wore to the premiere?
No.
Oh, you're going to have to watch the review to see it. What they wore to the premiere, Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson. Because it was looking good. So Julia Cornwall, Sydney Sweeney's character, Julia Cornwall. So she plays, I can describe so of the four characters you have, Dakota Johnson, who is the one that actually is the centerpiece, like what we're actually focusing on. The three other characters all play one-note characters. So Julia Cornwall is the hot nerd character, and that's all you ever learn about her. Anything else? I mean, anything else?
No, that's pretty much the gist of her.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm a Christian man, and I don't watch, certain things, like, and I'm not into, like, the gratuitous of anything. Like, I get it. If there's nudity in something, like, I've seen Game of Thrones. There's nudity, and the nudity happens or whatever. But I'll be honest with you. If we're going to be 100% honest here, you've got Sydney Sweeney, and in the trailer, they have Sydney Sweeney hanging upside down from a spider web. And I'm like, you really couldn't think of a better way to use that to get people to come and see this movie? I mean, like, no, let's just be honest here. This movie is in dire straits, okay? We are trying to right the ship here. We need to make some money here. How do you think you're going to do it? You've got four beautiful actresses. Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney are not just beautiful, but they are like sex appeal. And they do nothing but hot nerd character, and you don't ever anything with Sydney Sweeney's character at all.
And they pretty much try to hide her hotness too. Like they tie her down. I wish they'd tie her down.
Way. Yeah, I was saying not in a good way. Not in the way that everybody wants to see in a movie anyway. Okay. So any other? I mean, like literally, is there anything else to say about her?
Not really, no.
Yeah, okay.
She was the good one of the group and actually wanted to follow the rules and everything, but other than that, no.
Okay, so then I'll tell you that. Okay, so then we have the two next characters, and I'm going to list them both off, and kind of I only wrote one note for each of them, and it's because they're all one note characters. So we have Anya Corazon, played by Isabella Marquez, and she is the illegal immigrant character, and that's it. That's her character. And then we have Celeste O'Connor, and she's like the illegal immigrant character, kind of like the angsty teenager illegal immigrant character with a bad attitude. And then we have Celeste O'Connor, who plays Maddie Franklin, who is the bratty rich girl character, who's also an angsty teenager and has a much worse attitude than Anya Corazon, but still, like that. Those are the characters: bratty rich girl character, illegal immigrant character, and hot nerd character. Led by character who doesn't want to be there.
And doesn't like them.
And doesn't like them either. How was the chemistry between these characters?
Oh my gosh, just brutal fighting back and forth. Oh my god! And then when the tides changed and she actually wanted to help him and was trying to teach them CPR, like,
oh my god, yeah, we're both
the
nurses.
CPR scene was just horrible.
I like how in the beginning too you see Uncle Ben and he's giving CPR in the background and you see him going like this, and at one point he's not even moving his arms as Adam Scott is talking, and I'm like, that guy's dead. Like that person, CPR is a vigorous, and it is not even with your arm. It's with your body. Like this was the attention to detail here was a little bit not non-existent. So I also wrote like there's awkward, so there's not very many character moments between all of them. It's basically like Dakota Johnson and then the three girls. And Dakota Johnson spends most of her time actually not interacting with the three girls. Like they're not together. But the three girls interact with each other quite a bit. And it's actually poorly acted. And they have the bond, the bonding is like awkward. And all of them basically have bad home lives with unloving families. And that's basically all we learn about them. Yep. And that's it. Like that. And like I said, it's poorly acted, awkward, and just not good. So we'll go to, so then moving on to what can be the saving grace of a movie like this is the bad guy. So Tahir Rahim, Ezekiel Sims, what did you think of? I have two notes, but what did you think of his character?
He acted a little bit better, but just the writing for him was not the best.
So the problem that I had, and this is something that I wrote down, and it's kind of like halfway through the movie, I just kind of had the realization of like of this, and I get it. Like maybe some people aren't going to pick up on this, but first of all he has no development, which is just obvious. I think everybody agrees with that. But he also has no motivation. Like there's no specific motivation. We don't know who he is. And they talk about, so he sees the future for himself. He doesn't have the most reliable ability to see the future as like Madam Web does, but he gets these visions in his sleep of this one thing that happens with him fighting them in the future. We don't know why. Why would they be fighting him? If they showed us that he was some criminal or he was some bad guy that did a bunch of bad stuff, that's one thing. But we don't actually know what is going on. It might just be incidental that they're fighting him. So it's okay. But his whole motivation for the whole movie is that he has a vision of these people fighting him in the future, and so he's got to kill them before that happens.
It's just these three girls that don't even have powers yet. So that's just So what he does is, there's some other. So he uses all of his powerful. We don't know we don't know who he is. So we don't know if he's a rich and powerful guy. Well, he lives in like a nice apartment. He talks about his empire. These girls are going to bring down my empire and stuff. Like, what empire? What do you actually have going on for you other than a nice apartment?
If you have this big empire, then why don't you send some thugs to just go kill them instead of crawling around the walls yourself?
And he only has this one girl that works for him to find these girls. And he harasses her on constant, like, hey, you better find these girls.
Did you notice that she disappears through the app? We don't know what happens to her in the movie at the end. There's like, he has this one partner that works for him, and she's a good actress too. I forget her name just because we're not focused on her, but she like is a side role, but she was in the movie the show The Girls. Zosia Mamet is her name, but she's like his henchman kind of lady, and then halfway through the movie they just kind of forget about her and you never see her again. But so here's my thing with him. So no development, no motivation at all. Okay. We don't know, like, if he had a goal of, like, I want to take over the world, or I want to whatever, become the most powerful, whatever, and these girls are going to get in the way, so that's my, and they attacked me because of that. Then at least we would have an anchor point for us to kind of aim from here as far as the character, but none of that. No arc. Like, he doesn't learn anything. He doesn't realize, even, like, he doesn't even, it's not even a situation where he realizes, hey, by attacking these girls, that was my downfall, which is where it kind of sets you up to think, is this going to be one of those situations where you're trying to avoid your future, and because you're trying, in the process of trying to avoid it, you cause it? No, nothing like that happens. Spoiler alert. Also, he has Spider-Man-like powers, but let me be very clear here. How many times did you see anyone in this movie use web swinging?
Nobody. None.
Well, yes, the girls.
Well, yeah.
The girls. So
that was in his dream. That was in his dream. That's it.
Dream. Right. The only time that you see the girls, that whole... Okay, so this is where we're going to get a little bit into spoilers. But again, it's something that's kind of brought right in the beginning of the movie. The whole sequence that you see in the trailers, which you're going to be seeing. You're going to be seeing this happen in the trailers right over here. Okay. That whole sequence only happens in a dream, and the girls never get their powers in this movie during the movie. It's all visions of the future. What the... Why? That would be... Okay, let's make a movie about... You remember the Spider-Man movie with Sam Raimi? Like the first one? He gets bit by the spider. Yeah. Okay, with Tobey Maguire. Okay, let's make a movie. So the movie starts off with him going on the field trip. Let's make an 1.5-hour movie about the weeks leading up to him going on that field trip.
Yeah.
Why? Who cares about the weeks leading up to him going on the field trip? I want to see him after he gets his power. Oh, Anyway, so nobody... Yeah. So even if this movie... Yeah, okay. So, which sucked, because I honestly thought... We're getting away from characters here, but I'm just going to bring it up right now. I honestly thought that even if this movie isn't good, even if all the rumors and everything going into the movie, I was like, even if it's not good, we're at least going to get these 4 ladies with Dakota Johnson fighting a supervillain, and even if it's not good, it'll at least maybe be bland or something with the combat, and they'll just be fighting. It doesn't even happen. That doesn't even happen.
No.
So so the only ones that we see use web swinging powers, which is like the keynote feature for Spider-Man, is the girls in the dream sequence. But Ezekiel Sims, he can wall crawl. He has superhuman strength and probably superhuman regeneration and endurance and whatever, but no webs. And then he also has a power that I've never heard of in anything Spider-Man ever. He has poison touch powers. Like if he touches you, it will poison you. And it doesn't. Yeah. It's not if he touches you, it will poison you. He can poison you with a touch. It doesn't have to. There's also something that is weird. I'm not sure if it comes from her or if it comes from him, but he has a telepathic communication with Cassandra.
Yeah, that was weird.
And this is the thing, is that this is what's so stupid about this, is that it's such a plot device. It's like a lazy plot device, because basically he tells her everything. Like we see certain things, but he tells her everything. He tells her, I'm chasing you because these girls are going to get superpowers. She doesn't know that. She doesn't see his dream. She doesn't see the future and see that they are going to have superpowers. He tells her. She doesn't see it until the end. So the whole premise of the movie is caught, and her having any knowledge of anything comes from him. Yep. If he would have kept his mouth shut. He tells her, I killed your mother. Why tell her that? Why draw any connection? He tells her, the girls are going to kill me in the future. Why? Why are you telling people this? So it is so stupid the way that the dialogue is written here and the way that the sequence of events happens, like the characters' arcs. I'm not even talking about necessarily the character themselves as far as changing in an arc, but the paths that they take are written so contrived and dumb that I was just like, I didn't like this. And I didn't like this guy, like I said, because he's basically just a black-suited Spider-Man. They never explain why he's wearing a suit that looks like Spider-Man's suit. Or maybe... See, like, if they had explained, like, this is the traditional garb of the Peruvian warriors, and so that I don't know, something. I don't know. Like it comes from Peru. They're natives of Peru in South America. So I was like, maybe they could have done a thing where he's the bad guy and he gets the superpowers, and then he looks at like a picture of a guy who has like eyes or something, like an armor that has the eyes or the mask of Spider-Man, like we think of Spider-Man, and then he goes, oh, I'll make a suit like that.
Yeah.
To be like the thing that gave me my powers. No, nothing like that. He's just Spider-Man. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then of course, the final character here is Adam Scott, who's Ben Parker. Basically, this character does nothing and has no purpose except to tie this movie to Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I was like, as soon as I figured out his name and it was getting a little bit further in the movie, I'm like, okay, when's he gonna die?
Well, no, but the thing is that, well, he can't die because they need him to live, to go on and, with Spider-Man. The thing is that if they didn't give him a name, like if his name in this movie was like Ted Johnson, no, that would have been nothing. That would have been fine. Nobody would do. There's no anything.
Yeah.
The only thing, but it's Ben Parker. So he's in the trailer.
Yeah.
So, what are they going to do with Uncle Ben? They don't do anything. He has no screen time. He's in 5 minutes of this movie.
Oh my God, I'm just not realizing. So his sister that was having the kid, is that going to be?
That's, yes.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what I was saying.
Wow.
So this was my other note, is that they do this guessing game. They do like a name guessing game to tease.
Yeah.
Oh, what are we going to name the baby? And then with his sister, because his sister is played by Emma Roberts, who is a good actress and stuff, but she gets no screen time, so I didn't include her in the top 5. But so Emma Roberts is like, we'll play the game, like for my baby shower, what are we going to name the baby? And then people are guessing, and she says the name of the baby is going to be, and then something happens, and they go, and of course the name of the baby is going to be Peter. Okay, the name of the baby is going to be Peter. So I just there's no purpose to his character at all, and it was a real shame and a waste. The whole thing. Here's what I don't understand is why Sony owns Spider-Man. Like Sony, I don't know if you understand this, but Sony actually outright owns Spider-Man. So Sony could outright have Tom Holland be in his own Spider-Man movie. Period. They could just do it because they own it. It's theirs. They could say Spider-Man. They could literally make a movie where every line of dialogue has the word Spider-Man in it.
Yeah.
They could have a movie where they talk about Peter Parker all the time, all day long. Why are they avoiding naming Peter Parker? Why are they avoiding showing Spider-Man?
Yeah.
They could have had a scene where she sees a vision of the future of the baby and sees that he is Spider-Man.
Yeah. That would have been pretty cool.
That would have, no. So well, in a better movie, it would have been cool. So I don't understand why Sony is doing that. Yeah. So, anything else you want to say? I mean, basically, like I normally at the end of characters and acting part, we say like, oh, the character they were acted okay and all this, but actually, I didn't think that these characters were acted well. I mean, I'm going to tell you, the truth, people were talking about how Dakota Johnson actually is a good actress, and maybe she is. Maybe she's at least a middle of the road actress, and I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and just say, based on what other people have said, let's just say that she is not excellent, but like an average actress. Sydney Sweeney, I've seen her in nothing. I watched a few episodes of Euphoria to check it out and didn't like it because just the material that it's based on is like what it is. I'm like, it's not my thing. But I didn't think she was a great actress. And this did not do anything to sway my feelings about that. I've never seen any of these other people in anything. Yeah. And so, the only person that I really looked at and was like, he's doing a good job in a bad movie was Adam Scott. And that guy didn't even show up on Z. I was like,
it's so bad. He was the glue holding it all together.
he with his 15 minutes of runtime in a 2-hour movie, an hour and 56-minute movie. So I'm going to say it was actually poorly acted. Probably writing didn't help either. But this was a poorly acted movie. So there you go. Yeah,
I'm 100% too.
Yeah, so then I want to go into miscellaneous section. Do you have anything that's just like, other than, kind of miscellaneous, what we haven't talked about yet, that you would like to bring up?
The thing that drove me crazy with this movie, I don't know how, the cinematography, like the continuous movement of the freaking camera all over the place and just blurring everything. Like, I had no idea what was going on half the freaking time. Like, who am I even looking at? What are they even doing? What is going on? Like, that was driving me crazy with a lot of it. They was trying to make an action movie, but it's supposed to be a thriller. But they was trying to make it action scenes, and they were just blurring the lines like crazy. I did not care for it at all.
So you mentioning that, I will mention I did not like the scene. So I will say, okay, so first I want to comment on this. This is actually really important, and people don't realize this. Do you know why, like, Lord of the Rings, Helm's Deep was such a great movie? And one of the reasons that battle scene is considered one of the greatest battle scenes in all of cinematic history is just simply because one thing that, it's not the only reason, and there was many things, but one thing that really contributes to that is that, compare that scene to, like, Avengers Endgame. You always know where the characters are, you know what they're doing, and you know the stakes. Like, Aragorn is on top of the wall. When the wall gets destroyed, you know, oh man, that's them. They're coming into the fortress now. If Aragorn and the elves that are guarding that hole in the wall fail, we now know that the orcs are going to be in this particular part of the fortress, and that's going to be bad. So you kind of get, like, the weight of everything. So, like, when you say, I didn't know where certain characters were, that might sound like a small thing. But if you can't piece the scene together in your mind, you don't have a movie. Like, it's not good. You just don't have anything.
Yeah. And they just kept adding, like, all the different angles and everything. And, like, one of the angles was just, like, of the stairs. And that's all you could really see was the stairs. You couldn't see the character. Like, why? Yeah. Yeah, it was horrible.
And then the other thing I was going to say is I did not like the opening scene, the way that it was shot when they had, well, not the opening scene, but like the scene close to the opening where you see these spider-powered Peruvian South American running around, bouncing
around and climbing,
Yeah, and I was like, that just, the quality of the CGI was good for the entire movie, I think, like for most of everything they did except that part too. I thought that the CGI wasn't the greatest in that part, and then how they shot it, it was just, any other thing you want to just right off the bat? Otherwise, I have a few that I'm going to rattle off pretty quickly here.
I think it'd be more of a spoiler, but I think I'll wait for the spoilers.
Oh, okay. Well, no, go ahead. If it's a spoiler, I'll cut it out.
So it's like
if it's bad, I'll cut
the whole movie was just, I was trying to find good things about it, and then finally when it started to get towards the end and to the actual battle scene, I was like, oh, this is actually getting kind of climactic. I like this. And then when she started to use her powers to rescue the girls, and then he just kicks her and done. Like, are you? What? That's it? Are you kidding me? Wow. Yeah,
so this is one of my points, actually. I'll bring this up. Yeah, we can talk about this. This is great. So in the final fight, Cassie's powers finally work. Yeah. And she has this, if you've ever seen the movie, there's a Nicolas Cage movie where he can see 60 seconds into the future. It is Next. The movie's called Next.
Next.
Okay. Yep. So there's a scene where Nicolas Cage walks into this warehouse and they have to find something in this warehouse with this cop. Yep. The cop says, "Where is it? Where is he? Or what is it?" I don't remember exactly what it is. Yeah. You see a scene where Nicolas Cage walks forward and his character walks forward, and one character keeps walking forward, and then he like splits off into 3 clones, and then you start to see all of these like clones of him looking around. And it's not that he's cloning himself and looking around like Multi-Man or anything from the X-Men. It's that he's looking a few minutes into the future while he searches an area, and then he's doing it for another thing and doing it for another thing, almost like Doctor Strange when he's looking into the future. And okay. So Cassie, Madam Web has the same thing here. So you see this, like, she like does this thing almost like the spirit bomb from Dragon Ball Z. She's like, and she's like has to stand there and stands completely still while like a spirit version of herself goes over and starts helping one of the girls, because there's 2 girls, and Ezekiel Sim says you can't help them both because they're going to fall off of this stuff.
Oh, no, all three of them were about to fall to their death.
Yeah, and then like 3 of these spirit things go and like grab them and help them up, and basically what it's supposed to be is that she goes into the future and helps one, but then simultaneously is going into the future and helping the other two at the same time. But while she's doing this, she's like locked in where she can't move and she can't react. And so there's literally a scene where you see Ezekiel Sims, literally, the scene goes like this. Ezekiel Sims is standing here like this and he's looking at her. It's my daughter freaking out. Ezekiel Sims, she didn't like the movie either. Ezekiel Sims is looking at her and the scene goes to where he looks around like this and he's like, and immediately in the theater I was thinking that he's good. Okay, so he's like, what? Okay, whatever. And then he just boom, punches her. It's right in the face as hard as he can. And I was like, why didn't you use your powers?
Yeah.
To avoid that.
Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Oh, that was like one of my favorite parts of the movie, just because of how that's a meme. That's a meme. There are gonna be memes about this part of the movie. Yeah, I can't. I just can't. The whole thing. And then also I want to bring up fireworks. I'm not an expert on fireworks, but I got to tell you, I don't think this is how they work. So if I shoot a firework, the firework will fly into something, and then at some point the firework will explode. And when it explodes, it'll do damage. Because it is actually the same. It's glycerin. It's nitroglycerin. It's the same stuff that makes dynamite. But fireworks do not work where I could hold a bottle rocket. Like, let's say I aimed a bottle rocket at this wall right here, and the bottle rocket goes phew, and blows through the wall. Goes like a rocket. Yeah. And then flies to my neighbor's house and then blows up.
Yeah.
You see that happen in this movie. Like this, they've got they've got fireworks like turning into missiles and flying through walls, catching buildings on fire. That was one thing. Also, this is just because we're on the final fight here. You see her fall off of a building that's on fire because of fireworks, and then some fireworks fly around and hitting the water, like normal debris or whatever. But one hits her in the in the shoulder, and she goes, ouch, and then it goes black. Okay. All right, and then things happen. Okay, whatever. I'm trying to avoid completely spoiling the movie for you, but then in the end of the movie, she's blind and in a wheelchair. I've been hit in the shoulder a couple of times. I've never went blind, and I've never heard of anybody getting hit in the shoulder and going blind and being in a wheelchair.
I thought it hit her in the eyes. I'm pretty sure it hit her in the eyes.
Even if it hit her in the eyes, why is she in a wheelchair?
Yeah. That's that. Yeah,
oh my God, my eyes get me a wheelchair.
Why was she in the wheelchair?
She's in a wheelchair because in the comic books, Madam Web is an old lady in a wheelchair. That's why she's in a wheelchair. That was terrible. We already talked about the CPR scene, and the thing is that the CPR that they talked about was something dumb because it was that the poison can cause cardiac arrest, and so we give CPR. CPR on a car, like if you get poisoned and you die from poison, and your heart stops because of poison, me giving you CPR is not going to save you. Like, I'm a trained nurse, and I would give you better CPR than they did in this movie. But that is not going to save you. It does in the movie, but it would not in real life. Okay, I'm going to tell you. I will tell you, I looked at a statistic while I was a nurse, but basically, if you're not a trained professional with medical help, like if you're anywhere other than a hospital and you're giving CPR, the patient is probably dead already. Like you know what I'm saying? Like if your grandfather has a heart attack at his house and you immediately call 911 and start administering CPR, unless they're there in the next 5 minutes, your grandfather. I'm sorry, I'm just telling you, give the CPR. Don't get me wrong, but he's gonna die. So the idea of we're gonna give CPR if you have super poison, yeah, okay. We talked about the fact that they have no powers in the movie. She sees... So the whole thing is leading up to... The ending scene, the final out card with them is her seeing a vision, showing us a vision of her in a wheelchair with her suit on, like Madam Web, and them all having suits and having spider powers. By the way, in front of a Pepsi-Cola sign... that was one thing, the product placement. I didn't notice it until other people started pointing it out. I've seen some snippets of things people were like, did you notice all the product placement? But so we never see them in their powers. One thing is that the whole movie is based on this premise of the NSA having supercomputers that can track us no matter where we are.
Oh, yeah.
Which may be true. But why is that in a super movie? So the girl, like Ezekiel Sims tracks these girls using NSA supercomputers that he steals in this contrived, it's almost like a spy movie thing. It was so dumb. Like, why? You're a superhero.
Yeah.
You have superpowers. Go do superpower stuff. Why are we watching? Why is this a thriller? Why is this a spy-esque movie? Like, stop with NSA computers to find stuff. Use your superpowers. I thought that was dumb. One of the biggest things that bothered me the most is that they actually changed the things about Uncle Ben. So I don't know if you noticed this, but the quote with Uncle Ben, do you know the quote from Uncle Ben? I'm talking about in normal, not this movie, the regular quote.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
What is it? What is it? Do you know it? With great power
comes great responsibility.
So let me tell you, okay, so what is if I asked you, like, what does that mean?
So, like, if you...
It's very simple, but, like, what does it mean?
Just use your powers responsibly, like, use it for good or whatever.
So here's what I wrote. I'll tell you what I wrote. I'm not trying to cut you off. I also, you know, I'm also just, I kind of have this already mapped out in my head of what I want to say here. So what it means is if you have power, you have a responsibility to do right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the Uncle Ben quote. This movie changes that quote to, when you take on the responsibility, great power will come. I wrote that down as they were saying it. Okay. Because I was like, I got this. I was on. Okay. Yeah. So what does, when you take on the responsibility, great power will come? What that says to me, how I interpret this, what I'm hearing is, if you want power, then take on responsibilities.
Yeah, that's exactly what that,
How the hell do you take the greatest quote, with great power comes great responsibility, and turn it into, if you want power, here's how you get it.
You gotta be responsible.
You gotta take on responsibilities. That sullies that. That is such an iconic thing that means something. I don't think that they meant to do this. I don't think that they meant to be like, oh, we're gonna turn this into some bad, almost like, if you're power hungry, then no. But they definitely messed that up. So I thought that was just stupid. And then I guess in the end of the movie, they all become a family.
Yeah.
Like you see them. Yeah. There's a scene where a person comes in and says like, "Oh, are you guys all family?" And she says, "Yes, they're all mine." Yeah. And then I didn't know. Did you think in the final scene? Not really spoiling anything because the final scene is not so much connected with the movie, but do they all live with Cassie in the end? Like with Madame Web?
I think so.
Because they come to her house with lunch, and I'm like,
groceries and everything,
And I was like, is it that are they visiting her, or do they live with her? Do they take care of her? What is this? Yeah. So I mean, that was Madame Web. And it just kind of ended, and that was the movie. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I was sitting in theaters, and I missed the guy dying. Like I actually missed the bad guy getting defeated. So I was like, how did he get defeated? Like I didn't know what happened.
Yeah.
But that's stupid because even if you kind of missed seeing it exactly, you should normally in any other movie, you'd at least understand, oh, here's what happened. No, it just kind of happened. The movie just ends.
Yeah.
Like the final conflict, it just happens and is over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. So, and then just letting you guys know, so they did not do, I told Tommy Boy this afterwards too, I mentioned this, is that they did not do an after credit or post credit scene. So if you're seeing this video, which it's already out of theaters by the time you're seeing this, but if you are seeing this and it's still in theaters, or you haven't seen the movie yet and you watch it on DVD or streaming, you don't have to worry, there is no post or mid credit scene. I told Tommy Boy after the movie, he's mentioned that, and I said, yeah, no, the movie, the creators of the movie they gave up. They were like, hey, you guys want to do an after credit scene? And then the lights got turned off and they were like, what? Hello? Is anybody still here? Like, you guys want to do this after credit scene or what? Yeah, it was terrible. Like it was really bad. So let's get into.
It was great for me because I really had to go poop.
I'm going to tell you something right now, guys. Watching this, we try to be entertaining in our reviews, but actually we try to be mostly informative and analytical here when it comes to our reviews. But even if we are at our lowest point, I'm not saying that we are, but if you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, man, these guys are boring talking about this, we are more fun than Madam Web. And we're having more fun than watching Madam Web.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my
gosh. So let's get into it. So the question I asked in the beginning of the video was it bad? And the answer is a resounding yes. Was it as bad as everyone says it is? Was it bad as we thought?
My name is Stephen Russell. My co-writer, Joseph Miles Pittman, and I would like you to imagine a graphic narrative that disrupts the superhero genre's conventional boundaries. Tales of Nihilism unfolds a thought-provoking anthology with diverse story formats from succinct comic strips to multi-saga issues. But at its core, the Ballad of Philip Kirshner explores existential challenges of an ordinary man in a world inundated with superheroes. The anthology challenges prevailing hero worship narratives, diving deep into societal introspection. We invite readers to confront uncomfortable truths about our culture's obsession with saviors and question the prevailing societal structures. The series is not just a comic, but an invitation to contemplate, challenging readers to reassess their perspectives on heroism and societal norms. It's an opportunity to offer audiences a fresh, introspective take on the superhero universe, sparking conversations, reflections on the human condition. You can find the series digitally on Global Comics, or follow the links below to get your own physical issue.
Tommy Boy, let's get into this. So give us your final. First of all, can you give us? I don't even know if I. Can you give us one or two sustains or improves? If you can only give us one sustain, one improve, whatever, but some sustains and improves. And then your final statement and review score. Review score is bad, below average, average, above average, or excellent. What are your thoughts on
it? I would go. So, character development definitely needed a lot of improvement.
Okay, so improve one, character development.
The writing was horrible. That needed fixed.
Yep.
The cinematography, just the camera movements.
I was just saying.
Okay. Something good. Something good.
Pick 3.
Oh, jeez. Yes. The CGI was alright. It was good.
Okay.
Minus the spider people. That was funky. The final battle scene was kind of cool. Not very accurate with the fireworks, but it was still kind of cool, I thought.
If it was, maybe if they had their powers and they were fighting and all these explosions were going off, we could give it a pass and say, oh, wow, like, it's not so much realistic, but it's at least fun. Yeah. But no, it wasn't fun because, well, but I get what you're saying, yeah.
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 And then, but yeah, overall, I'd have to give it a below average.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there you go. Below average from Tommy Boy. So let me tell you guys something. Here's the thing about this movie. As far as a sustain, I'll bring this, is that the idea was actually good. I like it wouldn't have been great because there's not Spider-Man, but the idea of a couple of spider-powered characters who are also played by super hot actresses. I mean, honestly, like, let's be real with each other here. Fighting anybody can be, if it's just an action-packed romp and it doesn't take itself too seriously, could be a fun time. So that's the sustain. The improves are like the Uncle Ben thing and the way that they've messed up the lore here. They need to scrap this. Like, that's the other thing, is that, like, in one half you have a good idea with the lore and how to do this, and the other half is like you totally messed that up and are actually ruining the characters. This cannot be a prequel to a real Spider-Man movie because of some of the stuff that they did here with, like, it's not genetically engineered spiders. It's Peruvian super spiders. That's stupid.
Yeah.
It was a huge disappointment because of all of those things. They could have at least taken the base idea of 4 spider girls fighting a guy, and they could have done something with that, and instead they just didn't. But otherwise, my score is actually going to be bad.
Ooh.
And I'm going to say bad, not fun bad, not watch it because it's bad. Bad like watch it when it's free bad. Like this is something you never need to see again bad. This was atrocious. It was like chewing on cardboard. And then the parts that made it insulting sucked, really dragged it down. Because this basically was uninteresting characters doing uninteresting things. If it was like the Marvels was uninteresting characters doing what normal superhero stuff. This was uninteresting characters doing nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
My kids are going crazy behind me. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear this because I might try to edit out the sound, but my kids are having a huge fight. So I've got to go, guys. But that's all we've got. Tommy Boy, if you want to say goodbye to everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, save your money on this.
Thanks for putting me through that. Yeah, thanks for putting me through that.
yeah. But that's all we've got, guys. We do want to thank you all for watching. If you watched this far, thank you so much. Make sure to like the video, do all of that stuff. From the bottom of our hearts here at Mike's After Action Reviews, God bless you all, and have a good day. Don't forget to check me out on Twitch and join the Discord where you can voice chat with me while I live stream, and you won't be recorded or anything on YouTube and Twitch, so that's pretty cool. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. If you like to read, you can see my After Action reports on my blog. And if you are interested, you can get some merch from my spring store. The links for everything are in the description below.